Okay, we're back at the shop. Jessica's manning her roaster. She's put her first batch in. So the first thing you're going to do is open up the slide gate. Allow your batch coffee to come in. Close the slide gate, very important. Turn on the blower switch. From there you turn on your gas inlet. There will be a 52-second delay. We're going to set our temperature now for this day. And that turns the gas on. Right there. The reset button there turns it on. And the final thing you're going to do is turn on the water timer. Now the water timer will not light up on the first batch. So you just have to wait on that side. I missed her getting the first batch of beans in. So while you're waiting for the gas to turn on, it's a good idea to go ahead and start loading up your next batch. It doesn't do any good to run this roaster one roaster at a time. You want to utilize every part of the roaster. That includes having your green beans ready to go for your next batch as soon as possible. You want to get close to here so you can watch the flame kind of tick on. 52 seconds. And there we go. Kind of cool. Alright, so when the flames come on, this is showing our inlet air temperature, the air coming into the roast chamber. This is current bean temperature, and that is going to be our set temperature for this roast. Typically speaking, a roast is about 8 to 10 minutes long. More often than not, the very first roast will be a little longer, just by the virtue of everything just kind of being a little cold inside the roaster. Okay, so Jessica's loading up. Oh yeah, we forgot to say turn on the afterburner. Don't forget to turn on the afterburner. Very nice to the neighbors. And similarly, this afterburner will not kick on until later in the roast, so it'll be on 52 seconds. It will kick on once we get it later into the roast. All right, so this is a half bag roaster, but at our altitude, well, a half bag would be 75 pounds. You're thinking of a 150 pound batch roaster, but at our altitude, we can't do that kind of weight. So we're going to back it off to 65 pounds, and this will allow us to have an ideal roaster. Okay, here's our next roast. Just going to immediately take it on over. Plug the hose in. Turn on the vacuum. Very excited. Okay, we're about 3 minutes into the roast. The beans are fully dried off. And we're going to start going into the full roast. The beans are about 200 degrees currently. We're a little behind schedule again because of it being the first roast. Normally it would be a little hotter bean temp at this point. At this point, there's really not much to do except just mine the roaster. Everything is kind of taking care of itself. But it is imperative that once the roast starts coming out, you want to have a good schedule of putting your things together, like getting the beans up into the lift, getting actually, because once this thing starts punching out coffee, you're going to be looking at 200 pounds of well over 100 pounds of coffee an hour. So it's going to be kicking out a lot of coffee, well, 200 pounds of coffee an hour as it comes through. If you figure about 4 batches per hour, once it starts sucking in there and you get into your second or third hour, there's going to be a lot of coffee that you're going to have to deal with. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and pause the video here. There's not really, oh wait a second, we're going to go ahead. Okay, the beans have reached about 300 degrees now. Had we been smart, we would have cleaned off that side blast, but you know, we just don't do things that way around here. 5 minutes into the roast, we have an inlet temperature of 540 degrees. We're still behind on things. So what we'll do is really not a lot to adjust gas pressure, but we don't recommend doing that on the first roast. As I mentioned earlier, these are very thirsty roasters for gas consumption. Even though we're roasting about twice the speed of a normal roaster, we're using 3 times as much gas. So we're still kind of coming up 50% on gas consumption compared to a typical radiant drum roaster. Down to the end of our next batch here. We've got the beans are about 370 degrees, nice brown. In the roasting area, it's a nice smell of bread baking at this point. Okay, so we have all the beans in there. The next thing we do is we're going to fill off the air lift. This is the pneumatic lift. Is a pretty typical Sivetz simplicity design. It's actually more or less a central back motor. It's not on top of the cyclone up there. Alright, so we're going to stop here and I'll catch back up with you as we get toward the end of the road.